Marcus Aurelius was a Roman emperor, philosopher, and one of the last true rulers of virtue in a collapsing empire. Andrew Tate is a former kickboxer, internet entrepreneur, and cultural lightning rod either admired or despised, depending on where you stand. Both are powerful figures, but their values diametrically opposed in many ways. So imagine a meeting across time. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher, king, facing Andrew Tate, the internet's self-proclaimed top G. What would Marcus see in Tate? Strength? Arrogance? Misguided ambition? Let's examine this not to cancel or praise, but to understand. Because Stoicism isn't about judgment, it's about clarity. 1. What real control looks like. Before we judge success, we have to ask, what exactly should we try to control? Is it the world or ourselves? Marcus believed the only thing you truly own is your mind, your reactions, your judgments. Everything else, fame, fortune, respect, is fleeting. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. Andrew Tate often speaks of control, but it's about controlling circumstances, wealth, people, environments. His philosophy suggests a man's worth is found in how much of the world bends to his will. Marcus would call that a dangerous illusion. He would say, if your happiness depends on anything external, you are not free. Where Tate pushes men to master the world, Marcus pushes men to master themselves. One philosophy seeks dominance, the other, sovereignty of the soul. Marcus knew emperors could be assassinated, crowds could turn, fortune is a wheel, so he trained only what he could never lose his reason. 2. The discipline divide. Both men talk about discipline, but do they mean the same thing? Not quite. Tate in the gym, the hustle, the grind. Marcus in reflection, restraint, and responsibility. Marcus would respect this. He rose early to write. He trained his body, led armies, and shouldered the burdens of a dying empire. But where they diverge is intent. Andrew Tate's life is filled with symbols of success, expensive cars, lavish mansions, status symbols. Marcus had it all and walked away from it. Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself. He didn't believe material wealth made a man powerful. In fact, the more you need, the more enslaved you are. Marcus would ask, can you sit in silence, with nothing, and feel whole? Because to a Stoic, that's the real test. Not what you have, but what you can live without. 3. Competing visions of masculinity. Here we confront one of the biggest contrast show. Each man defines what it means to be a man. Tate projects an image of hypermasculinity, domination, emotional toughness, bravado. He tells young men that emotion is weakness, vulnerability is useless, and status is king. Marcus Aurelius. He led one of the largest empires in history with humility. He faced betrayal, death, worn it with fury, but with calm. The best revenge is not to be like your enemy. To Marcus, masculinity wasn't loud, it was steady, reliable, rooted in virtue. He would not define manhood through conquest or confidence, but through character justice, self-restraint, and duty. He might say to Tate, strength without virtue is no strength at all, it's theatre. True strength, in Stoicism, is the ability to endure pain, to forgive, to stay composed when every instinct screams to lash out. 4. Fame and the trap of applause. What good is fame if it controls you? Marcus saw it as one of life's great distractions. Tate sees it as leverage. Marcus Aurelius could have immortalized himself in stone, gold, or legend, yet he constantly reminded himself, fame is a vapor, popularity an accident, the applause of the crowd is meaningless. Tate's rise is largely driven by virality being the loudest, most polarizing voice in the room. But Marcus would see this as a trap. He would ask, "Are you building something eternaler, feeding a fire that will consume you?" Because in Stoicism, anything that depends on the crowd is inherently unstable. Marcus trained himself to be immune to praise and criticism. He knew both were forms of slavery. When you have done good and another has benefited, why, like a fool, do you look for a third thing credit for the good deed or a return? He would say, "Don't live to be remembered, live to be good." 5. Suffering, pain, and true resilience. What do you do when life gets hard? Your answer reveals everything. Tate tells young men to fight against depression, against weakness, to reject victimhood, and grind their way to the top. That sounds stoic, right? Well, partly. Marcus faced unimaginable grief plague, war, losing his children, and yet, he wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." He too believed that hardship refines the soul. But here's the difference. Marcus never mocked the suffering of others. He didn't tell men to man up in disdain, but to reflect and act with compassion. Tate's message can come off as callous strong, yes, but cold. Marcus would say, Stoicism is not about denying pain, it is about transforming it. He would tell suffering men not to hide but to examine their thoughts, detach from toxic desires, and walk forward with clarity. 6. Purpose, the Stoic North Star. What are we really here for? This is the question that separates the distracted from the deliberate. In the end, Marcus would ask Andrew Tate one question quietly, without fanfare. What are you here for? Is it to inspire, to dominate, to awaken men, or simply to win? Marcus believed every man had a role to play in a vast, interconnected universe. Just that you do the right thing, the rest doesn't matter. He wouldn't care about Tate's Bugatti, or his money, or his followers. He'd care about the legacy of his choices. Did he build something real or something loud? Did he serve a greater good or his own ego? Because Stoicism is not a philosophy of retreat, it's a philosophy of purpose. This video isn't about Tate. It's not about Marcus either. It's about you. Do you chase the world or master your mind? Do you seek approval or truth? Do you perform strength or live it? Marcus Aurelius would say, stop arguing what a good man is. Be one. And maybe that's the message we all need, whether we follow Andrew Tate or Marcus, or neither. Live deliberately. Live justly. And above, alive in service of something greater than yourself. Because all of you's rich or poor, loud or quiet, meet the same end. Do not waste what remains of your life in speculating about others. It is not death that a man should fear, but never beginning to live.